Welcome to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast, episode 656, hosted by author, educator, speaker, and mom, the cool cat teacher, Vicki Davis. This is Vicki's birthday week, and to celebrate, she wants to share some life lessons that she's learned over the years. So let's check in with Vicki and find out how her school went the extra mile to make sure all kids and parents were prepared for distance learning during the COVID-19 mandatory school shutdown.
Hello, everyone. So I've asked the new production manager for the 10-Minute Teacher, Vicki Morgan, to join me this week for birthday week. My birthday is on Saturday of this week, but there's a lot of things that I haven't shared on the podcast that I've blogged or shared in other places about how we've moved to distance learning. And the first story is we actually moved from distance learning from the physical classroom on a Friday to distance learning on a Monday with over 95% engagement and did not miss any days of school. And, that's a story in itself. And I've had people email me about that. So today's episode, we're going to focus on that topic. I've recently shared 10 professional development courses to improve your online classroom. 10 important concepts to level up your online learning. Well, today's sponsor, Advancement Courses, has great lessons to help. So stay tuned at the end of the show to learn more and how you can get 20% off their courses.
Well, how did you and your staff prepare so quickly and not miss a beat? Because nobody had any notice.
COVID-19 was not even on my radar when my headmaster called me in on March 5th. Now, remember that March 13th ended up being our last physical day at school, and we're recording this now in April. April 16th is the date we're recording this. So we had no idea when Dr. Doherty called me in that this would even happen. In fact, it wasn't even on my radar, and I remember laughing at him when he said, I want you to prepare a digital learning playbook in case the coronavirus comes and we have to move to distance learning. So it was on Thursday. On Friday, I was flying to Indiana to speak at a conference on Saturday. And then as I was flying, I realized this is really a big deal. I started joining Facebook groups invited by my friend, Dr. Thomas Ho, and started reading what teachers in China and teachers in Italy were dealing with. And, asked them what their mistakes were. I made a list of the top 15 mistakes that some of them said that they had made. Things like we didn't get our kids to take their books home every day. We didn't onboard them before they went to school. One teacher said, our school decided we weren't going to do anything because we weren't going to be out for very long, and those teachers aren't getting paid. Another school said, we didn't do it very well. We just decided to go half time, and now they're paying us half pay. So there were a lot of folks who shared their mistakes, and we used those mistakes to design our plan. We started having kids taking their books home right away as soon as I handed the plan to him on Tuesday the 10th. On Wednesday, he called me in and he said, we're not going to get everybody excited, but we are going to start implementing this plan. We canceled our after school meeting that we had and we started professional development. We started with Google Classroom. We got all the teachers in Google Classroom on that Wednesday. We started training on Zoom on Thursday, teaching security settings and how to do that. And we onboarded all of our students in grades 6 through 12 on Thursday the 12th. And then on the 13th, we onboarded all of our 3rd through 5th graders. And my headmaster actually brought in a sub for me on those days so that I could get everything in. We taught all of our kids how to Zoom while we were right there at school. So when we had our last physical day on the 13th, that night we had an assignment go up and we literally had over 90% of the kids engaged before we had our day 0 or orientation day on the 16th.
Well, that's just remarkable. That's incredible. But how did you help the parents adjust to this? How did you deal with the parents?
From the very beginning, my administrators told all of us that, this is a stressful time and this is not going to be learning as usual. So we need to know that we need to be patient and kind. And my headmaster actually uses the word gentle with parents and with students. Understand that connectivity is going to be an issue. Since then, we've done surveys and we've found approximately 75% of our parents have excellent internet connection, but we have 25% that don't. So we decided, what are the core subjects that we need to have? How can we make sure that we have a Zoom schedule? So we Zoom from 9 to 1, 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Each class makes sure they have 30 minutes twice a week to Zoom. We worked really hard to put elementary times at different times, and And then we've added enrichment in the last few weeks. For example, if we Zoom, then we have to download it onto our local computer and upload it to Google Classroom because not everybody can get on during the day. We have a lot of healthcare workers that are related to our schools. So we have to understand that those kids may not get on until night.
So what do you find that the parents want most? Is it that routine, that normalcy?
I believe that most parents do want normalcy for their students as much as they can. They want help with educating. While a lot of parents are on social media saying, I'm a homeschool parent, there's a big difference between a school that's providing a lot of support and materials and those that are truly being homeschooled, which I don't think this is. I have a high school senior and he's continuing on with all of his classes and they're making progress in their learning.
Well, that's great. I mean, there's progress, but there's also problems like with the Zoom bombing. I know that the FBI has given recommendations for that. It was all in the news. Schools had to eliminate video conferencing from their classrooms, but your school did not have to eliminate that. Why did you not have any problems?
I started using online video conferencing in 2005, so I have had issues before many years ago. And the issues we've seen are not new issues, but I knew the importance of having security settings, having classroom management strategies. So we actually were pretty strict on our security settings. We had checklists for all of our teachers. Our security director actually performs security audits, goes into all of the classrooms. I have a database written that is, we call it the admin dashboard, where all of our administrators are able to go in and observe classrooms. And of course, they're the recordings, so if they can't go in live, they can look at those recordings. But we do have to audit security live. We don't post any of our links publicly. And then if we think, even consider that a room might be compromised, then we just change that link or that ID. But we do have a checklist of security protocols, which are much more strict than the FBI. And we also work to keep our parents informed because, parents have a right to be concerned about security. We also make sure that students and parents know that we're not going to require anybody to turn their camera on. We're just not going to do that because they have a right to privacy in their own home. So we've worked really hard to train everyone from day one. We have our 8 P's of a professional student where we train students on how to be a professional and, their posture. They should be sitting up straight. They should have a place to work and they should be a professional. We should have a purpose for all of our meetings. So once we had our day 0, which was that Monday, we trained everybody on how to interact online. And then we moved to our day 1. So day 1 and day 2, they're learning the technology. So we worked really hard to make sure that if you're assessing the use of technology, you can't really assess content knowledge at the same time. So there's definitely a process. I think that to effectively onboard students, it really takes a good 5 days. 2 days of onboarding, 1 day of orientation, and then your day 1 and day 2, where your teachers are teaching content, but you're not truly grading for the content. You're really more giving check grades to make sure that students are engaged and they know how to use the technology.
So how do you help teachers learn in this environment? Because there's so much for them to be learning right now.
That's a great question. And from the beginning, we realized that teacher professional development was essential. And we started off having those meetings, after school, but we have teacher office hours from 2 to 4. So a typical day with Zoom is that we have Zooms happening from 9 to 1. Some elementary classes start at 8:30. And then we have office hours from 2 to 4. Well, where does that leave us with professional development? It was really kind of running us ragged. So we created No Zoom Wednesdays. The students still have asynchronous assignments. Sometimes they'll have tests. They'll have other activities, maybe in Wiser, Edpuzzle, quizzes, reviews. There's all kinds of things that they'll have on Wednesday. But the teachers start for PD. We actually meet for prayer at 8:30, and we start our PD at 9. And it runs, until 1. And then the teachers also have assignments. So each Wednesday, we have objectives of what we're trying to cover. The motto that they've had for me from the beginning is innovate like a turtle. Slow, steady progress is the only progress that works. But we've really moved through quite a few Edpuzzle, quizzes, of course, Google Classroom, Zoom security audits, and now we're using wiser.me. We've also created mentor groups and mastery groups. We also have subject area groups. So mentor groups is where you have one person who kind of mentors others on the tools. Mastery group is where you're focusing on a specific tool. So you could choose a mastery group and say, hey, I want to go with the other folks to focus on IXL or focus on Wiser, or focus on Nearpod. And you would get together. But we always end the day in our mentor groups where everybody shares what they learned. They talk about their struggles and they sort of share best practices, particularly formative assessment and how that works. So I think you have to make room for teacher professional development in this whole process.
Okay, since then now you have all your school, K-3 through 12th grade, all systems are go. So how's that work?
You know, we realized several weeks into it, as Governor Kemp kept extending the time at home, that it may go to the end of the school year. So we started putting plans in place immediately before we went on our spring break and started onboarding our first and second grade before we went in. Right now, as we record this, we're onboarding our K3, our K4, our K5. And of course, we have the same model. We onboard for 2 days. We have orientation for 1, and then we really focus on day 1 and day 2. A lot of help with our parents, a lot of help with our students. We're even adding enrichment now. So we're getting ready to do some Minecraft building. I've also got an AI course that I'm going to lead for 4 weeks. That's going to be a special course for learning. That's enrichment and it's optional. You know, you've got the challenge. You've got those with low bandwidth who really struggle, and you don't want to leave them out. And then you've got those who really do want more of a full day of school. So we have enrichment opportunities. We have chapel. We have school assemblies. We have activities that we meet in webinar rooms. So in many ways, it's kind of starting to look like a full school.
Well, there's just so much more on this subject. Like, is this real learning? The trauma aspects, all that. But since this is your birthday week, I know you're going to focus on sharing some more really incredible life lessons. Experience is the best teacher, and we can all learn so much from you. So, Vicki, we're looking forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you. Advancement Courses is today's sponsor and the number one resource for educators' online learning, in my opinion. They offer over 280 graduate-level PD courses in 20 different subjects, all self-paced with up to 6 months to complete. Go to advancementcourses.com/coolcat and save 20% by using the code COOL20. All courses are available to either graduate credit through their CAEP and regionally accredited university partners, or for continuing education hours that meet your state requirements. Check out the 10 professional development courses to improve your online learning at coolcatteacher.com/level-up-online. With Advancement Courses, you'll never stop learning. Thanks, Advancement Courses, for sponsoring today's show.